So here is Lee at rocking horse, cantering down the center line for our intermediate test. This is our first event of the season for 2022, and we're coming down to I, which we will trot. And he was pretty good, stayed pretty straight. He always likes to push his haunches right. That's a bit of his weakness, as well as the shoulder in right. He can tend to get a little bit Gumby through his neck and he'll not really give angle, but this was pretty good. Always have to watch a bit of the head tilt and a bit of him going a little bit behind the vertical. You'll see I kind of like push him up into the front. And then into our half pass, which are always pretty fun on him because he is pretty Gumby. He's like riding a wet noodle, which in turn can be difficult sometimes. So now working on coming down the long side to do our second shoulder in. Again, pretty good. You see that hind right is staying straight, so I have the angle correct. And then into our half 10-meter circle. Always have to make sure I prepare so he doesn't beat me to it sometimes because he likes the half passes. Pretty nice crossover, making sure the shoulders are leading. You needed to finish that out a smidge more, but that was okay. He's feeling really rideable, which is nice, especially for the first dressage test of the season. And now we go into a medium trot, which I can do this rising in the intermediate test, so I opted to do that since it was the first test of the season and really just working on getting them relaxed and, really getting Lee to kind of feel freer through his body and really kind of go for the points for moving on through the season. So in our working walk, he got a little bit all over the place and he's kind of curling a little bit. So I'm trying to get him to kind of take the bit, which for the extended walk you want them to do, but you see he's a little bit behind it and a little bit fluctuating. But the overstep is good. I just need him to take the contact, which he starts to do near the end. Always a work in progress, but the walk can be where we can gain a lot of points and where we can lose a lot of points. Now preparing for our right canter, which I'm actually really happy with that transition. That's also been a weakness for him. He only came up a little bit, but he's really gotten a lot stronger and has built a lot of muscle in the booty especially. And then that was a medium canter. And then it was supposed to be to a walk transition, which he kind of wanted to go into a halt, which I don't mind if my horses are willing to really come up under a little bit too much. I'd rather that than him not listen to my seat at all. So now we do a serpentine. And these tests are new for 2022. So we're always making sure that we can remember them correctly. It's a fairly decent serpentine. And then I go P all the way to E in medium canter, and then my transition's supposed to be back at E. I did that fairly well. And then I come into a canter walk, which again, he got a little excited and wanted to do canter halts, but good boy. So for those, I just needed to push him a little bit more so I could get the walk. And again, I'm working on getting him up in the frame. We do our second serpentine. And he thought about doing a change there because he says, hey, I'm an advanced horse. We're supposed to do one. So not in this test, buddy. He held it pretty well. And then transition to trot at M. I was maybe a smidge early. And then coming into our final halt. Overall, I was really, really pleased with his rideability in the test, especially for it being the first season. And some things to work on and improve, but overall, he's feeling really strong and excited about heading into the season this year. And we ended up scoring a 32.7, putting us into 7th place. And then we headed into show jump. Now this is a 1 day, so we did all the phases in 1 day. So now heading into the ring, and I'm making sure I have my plan. And I want to make sure with Lee that I have him going forward and coming back, and that I'm working on having his head up and out and his hind leg underneath. So then coming to the first fence, I see a good distance, and he jumps that pretty good. So that gives me a pretty good feeling. And do a nice inside turn here to this outside line, which this rode in a 4. And this was a 6, but I decided to add the extra stride there. And he jumped over that vertical nicely. Now coming around to the Swedish Oxer, I see a good distance. It just kind of caught the back rail of the Swedish. And he jumped through that double really nicely. And he's feeling very rideable. Jumps that really well. Another balance again to this vertical. I'm always trying to make sure that I can keep him kind of coiled up on his hocks. But that can be tricky sometimes, because if I lose him and he gets too round, then that's where I get in trouble. And now coming around to the last double. And he jumps that really well. So just the 1 rail to add. I was really pleased with that round. Then on to cross country. He was feeling really full of himself, and sadly I had some malfunction, not malfunction really. My battery wasn't charged on my helmet cam, so I wasn't able to get any helmet cam footage. So we are at a little bit of a disadvantage, because Megan had to stay close to the trailer. So you'll just really be able to see the couple of fences in the beginning and a couple of fences at the end. But you really did feel really well. I unfortunately made a mistake. I got a little hasty and excited at the double corners, and it absolutely was not his fault. I went for too tough of a line, and we just had to glance off the corner. He tried for me, bless him. But coming near the end here, just letting him cruise around, and he recovered fantastic, and he was really happy to be out there. So really pleased with him for our first event.